Hi, I'm Karina Gardner, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Sewable fabric interfacing. Looks like this for my pieces that you can purchase at the SilhouetteAmerica.com shop. So we have a lot of great new products that use fabric, and if you're going to use fabric with your Silhouette machine, you need to either use this or the clean cut interfacing. You can use the instructions I'm showing you today for the clean cut. The only difference is obviously with Sewable, we're going to be sewing with it. The clean cut, we can make things like this, which you can find in my Silhouette shop. This is the Lacy flower, fabric flower, and this is the Daisy Darling flower. And all it is they're hot glued together, and I think I tied a little twine in them. But these are really great with the clean cut interfacing, so just keep that in mind. So with the sewable fabric interfacing today, what I'm going to show you is how to make the everyday pincushion. I'm just going to show you some of my tips and tricks for it. I'm not going to go through the whole project, but I think you're going to see how easy it is to use this stuff. Okay, so what I've done is I have started out with cutting a bunch of 4-inch squares, and that's because I'm going to cut everything at one go on a single mat, or the front part of this pin cushion. So I've cut these cute little 4-inch squares, and I've also done that with the fabric sewable interfacing. Now what you're going to notice is there is a smooth side of this interfacing, and then there's a textured side. What you're going to do is have the textured side up, and you're going to place your fabric wrong side down, right side up to you, and place it just like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to iron it on for just a few seconds. I'm just going to pull my iron into view here and lay that right down and iron it just like that. And if you have any white interfacing sticking out, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. I think the main thing with the interfacing, the only reason I cut it down is because you don't want it on the bottom of your iron. So just cut it enough so that you're not getting it on the bottom of your iron, and you should be good. So once this has cooled, what you're going to do is peel it off. All right. Move that out of the way. Okay, it's still a little bit hot, but I just want to show you that you peel it right off, and what you're going to get is this nice shiny surface that's going to make your fabric a little bit easier to cut through for your machine. So it's a little bit thicker. I'm using 100% cotton. These are my fabrics from well, 2 or 3 of my fabric lines for Riley Blake. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay it on my mat, and I've got one laid out for us so that you can see what I've done with this pin cushion. So I have laid out each of these 4x4 squares so I can run this through my machine a single time. And what I have done is I'm going to take it and I am going to move all my stuff around on my computer. So let me just show you that really quick, okay, how to set it up on your machine. So what you're going to do is you are going to just move each of these into the 4-inch by 4-inch squares that you have allotted on your 12x12 mat. So I'm just going to move this one over into this corner, this one up here at the top, one over to the right hand side, and you can see that what I'm doing is just spreading it out so that I know that it's going to fit each of those 4-inch by 4-inch squares. You'll also notice with all of my products, whether you're buying it from my shop or the Silhouette shop, that there is a 1-inch by 1-inch square in the top right hand corner of the SVG file. And that is because I want to make sure that your proportions are good. You do not have to cut that out. In fact, you don't want to cut it out. What you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that when you open the file in your Silhouette software, that square is in fact 1-inch by 1-inch. If it is not, then you need to grab everything inside of that SVG file, and you're going to proportion it up or down just to make sure that it fits. So once you have this thing laid out, you're just going to cut it on your machine. And my recommendation, and there is a setting here that you can choose that is fabric canvas. So I like to set it to that, and then I make a couple of adjustments. I like to make sure that my blade thickness is 5 I choose the thin fabric, and I choose a speed of 5 and a thickness of 33. So those are the settings I like. If you want to double cut, you can, but on my machine, for whatever reason, when I choose a fabric, it automatically does a double cut, so I just let it go, and we're good there. Okay, so once you have cut it, then what's going to happen is you're going to run it through your machine, and it should do something like this for you. And I love this, like pulling this off, and you can see how nicely cut that is. Now, if for some reason you have a couple of little threads still hanging on, just take a pair of scissors and just trim it as you go. Sometimes I'll have like one little thread pulling on. You don't want to yank it because then you're gonna mess up your grain. But look how nice that is, and like, I mean, I did that with a single cut. Look, you're gonna have such a great set of pieces already set for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am just going to show you how to sew those together. I have a couple of pieces here, right here, and let me just talk to you real quick about some of the problems with sewing with this kind of interfacing. So if you are sewing with wrong sides together, and that means that that interfacing is facing in, you are going to just sew along the edge with right sides out, and you're not going to have any problems. This sews pretty nicely together. For example, I think I have a couple of pencil cases where you can do frayed edges or something like that, and we sew on the right side. I think that's actually a really great way to do it, especially if you're sewing with teens or tweens or kids. So right sides together, don't worry about. If you are sewing though, and this project requires it, with right sides together, wrong sides out, you're going to be working with that interfacing glossy finish, and that is a problem for your machine. It's going to want to grab it, okay? And so we're going to use one of my favorite tricks, and that is to sew it like it's a laminate. So what you're going to do, I'm going to bring my sewing machine around. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is sewing machine oil. It should come with your machine, but if it doesn't, you can buy some at your local quilt shop or at your local sewing big box store. And the great thing about this stuff is it's not very expensive, and I mean, you're gonna see, this is so awesome. So what I like to do is I am just gonna pull off the top here, and I am going to put literally a drop, maybe half a drop if I can manage it, because you don't need very much. I have my 1/4 inch foot on right now, but I'm going to take one tiny little bit, just as little as I can make, because a little goes a long way in this project. I'm going to take it, I'm going to pull off my presser foot here, and I'm just going to slick it right along the bottom of that foot. And you can just do it once or a couple times. My little foot is like all by itself on the edges here. So what I'm going to do now is put it right back on, and I am telling you, this is going to save your life. This is going to make it all go really, really smoothly. So I'm going to put this right back on here, and I'm going to sew these two together. So at the top, it's going to slick through, like, and I do this very often. This is the trick I use for laminates. Lots of my fabrics come out in a laminate, and those are really great for outside tablecloths and cushions and whatever. And this is the trick I use to make sure and sew it. So I'm going to place my presser foot down and get my foot ready here, and I'm just going to sew right along, and you can see it's going through beautifully. You're not going to have any problems with it. And I've had people ask me, are you worried about the oil getting through? And the answer is no. If you're just putting that teeny tiny amount, all it's going to do is just make this a slick surface for you to work through. And of course your dog feed is moving the bottom through, so you're going to be good. And there it is. You can open it up, and it looks really, really great. I know that if you do not do this, what's going to happen is it's going to get tacky, and the whole sewing process is going to be much more difficult. There is another trick you can use, and it's your choice. I personally prefer the oil method, but you can also use a walking foot, and people use this for quilting. That's usually what they're using this for, but it also works nicely because there's a dog feed at the top of this presser foot, so it's going to push the top through. I think the oil method is nice. I also like it because I can use my 1/4-inch foot, and that's really easier, especially since the instructions for this particular little pincushion uses a 1/4 inch seam line. So that's how you sew with this sewable interfacing. I hope you have a chance to use it. This is going to make your project so fun and easy. Ketting, in my opinion, is not the funnest part, so I love that the silhouette will do it for me. Be sure to go check out all of my designs over at silhouetteamerica.com by searching for Karina Gardner products, or you can come to karinagardner.com/silhouette to check out instructions and videos, and I can't wait for you to have a chance to work with this.